Hello and welcome to the Bonus Points podcast. I'm Joe Garrett, as always being joined by Ollie Guy. Hello, Ollie.
Oi, oi. Oi, oi, mate. Oi, oi. How's it going?
Yeah, doing good. For those that are only listening, you can't see Ollie wearing his Bridges hat, which I was hoping he was going to be wearing.
Yes, of course.
Very appropriate. And his Bridges pants he's just shown as well.
It's a thong.
And he's wearing a Bonus Points t-shirt. So I don't know. I just took it outside the room. I did have a Bonus Points mug that I had my tea in this morning. Sadly, I don't have any Death Stranding merch to join you there. But yeah, bit of a giveaway. I should mention what we're talking about. We are discussing the sequel to one of our favourite games on the list that we've done so far, which is Death Stranding. Death Stranding 2.
Do you want to use its full title?
Was it On the Beach or Back to
On the Beach?
On the Beach?
Yeah, bring your swimming trunks because we're going to the beach. Shall I do the Wikipedia entry?
Yes, please.
Death Stranding 2 On the Beach is a 2025 action-adventure game written, produced, designed and directed by Hideo Kojima, developed by Kojima Productions and published by Sony. Death Stranding 2 On the Beach is set primarily in Australia, 11 months after the events of the first game, in a post-apocalyptic world ravaged by otherworldly creatures. The player controls Sam Porter Bridges, a freelance porter, as he and his companions set out on an expedition across the Australian continent to connect isolated survivors and colonies to the wireless communications chiral network in order to save humanity from extinction. So there we go.
So this is a game, for those that have been listening the last few months, will know Ollie has been looking forward to this game more than a 7-year-old looks forward to Christmas. And so we've been pretty good to not, I mean, we've given mostly you've given me kind of a few hints and we've kind of discussed our progress in the game. But overall, we've been pretty good keeping our lips zipped together to not reveal how much fun we're having. So I'm just really curious, like, has it lived up to your lofty expectations?
I would say it has lived up to my lofty expectations.
Oh, I don't like your voice though. I don't like the butt that's coming.
I think the first one is better, but only by a fraction of a fraction of a fraction, like the smallest amount, but it has definitely lived up to my expectations. This is a absolutely fantastic game, like an unbelievably it's the sort of game that you play it and you're like, I can't believe this exists, which I've not had since Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
But it's like, I can't believe that people were able to make something this incredible, basically. But what I want to know is, how far did you get? So
I got to... I've had like the 2 Higgs and Kettle. So I got to the snowy area. Actually, a good point might be I just got my Pokeballs, so I can catch BTs.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you're actually a bit further back than I thought you were.
Yeah, I've probably filled in, like, just looking at the map, I've probably filled in maybe 65% of the map. Like, I've linked up to the chiral network. So I'd say I've played for just over 20 hours, and I've probably been doing about half of the side missions, the sub orders, and then obviously all the main missions I'm doing. So I'd probably say I'm over halfway through the game. Sadly, I wasn't able to finish it in time. So that does mean, though, if you are still playing it, we won't be spoiling the end of the game. You know, I can obviously only discuss it up to where I've played, but I will. Like, I'm going to finish this game, so don't worry if you really love the game, you're like, oh, no, that's not going to help it out on the list. Like, we can always move it whenever we want later on. So if I finish the game and I'm like, the ending's so good, and I hear the ending is good, it could move up or down in the future.
Yeah, I think we could probably, the next couple of episodes, we might be able to move it. Although next episode we have a guest, but the one after that, the guest is a big fan of Death Stranding, so we can move with them on, which might be pretty fun. Because
I really didn't want to... Because I probably could have finished the game if I just mainlined the whole way through and seen the end. But then I think I would have enjoyed the game less. Like, I think it's not... Well, you know, like, I kind of wanted to play the game as I would have played it and tried... And I think I would have had more fun that way rather than, you know, rushing to see credits. So I made that decision.
I finished it. It took me exactly 40 hours. And then I've since been back and done an hour and a half more because you mentioned about the Ghost Hunter mission, and I was like, oh, I've got to see that if he's bringing it up.
Did you see it? Did you see it?
I did it. Yeah, it's good. It is good. But anyway, for anyone that's not played Death Stranding before, doesn't know what it is, don't know why we're talking about this walking sim. Maybe you heard that it's quite boring. Like, it is basically open world. It's an open world third person shooter. I'd say this one more than the first one is an open world third person shooter where you are responsible for delivering packages, which is just you literally carry them on your back or in your car or on your bike across pretty hostile landscapes. These deliveries tend to take about 10 minutes. And then on the way there, it's kind of up to you to like, oh, there's a river here. Maybe I'll build a bridge or I'll build a ramp to get over this river. Like, oh, there's a steep cliff. I'm going to build a rope system so I can get down this cliff so I can deliver the stuff. And then on the way, there's like supernatural encounters. There's like kind of just generic bandit enemy encounters, along with the environmental stuff, which in this game, they've also added natural disasters, very small scale natural disasters, but they've added natural disasters as well. So things like earthquakes, avalanches, flooding, all that sort of thing tries to get in the way of you delivering your packages. And then every time you deliver a package, you tend to get a small but fun little toy to add to your repertoire for next time you deliver a package, which is just something for you to experiment and play around with. So that could be like a carrier for you to put your stuff on so you can carry it, like so you don't have to carry it on your back. Or it could be a little pod that you put on your backpack that makes it lighter so you can carry more stuff. Just anything like that, really. I think that's kind of the...
And a lot of that stuff is really system-based, where often they'll have a lot of... So like that carrier that you... The floater thing that you could obviously... You can put parcels on them, and then you can like bind the parcels up and it makes it easier to carry them. But also if you don't have parcels on, you could ride it like a skateboard and things. Yeah. So a lot of things have multiple uses and kind of expand kind of this system-based gameplay. Which is kind of the side of the game that I really enjoy, is sort of experimenting with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the experimenting side of it is it's very breezy. It's very easygoing. Like the threat level of this game is incredibly low. Like you will get into scraps of enemies, but like you're gonna win. Like the guy you play as, Sam, he's really tough. You can take millions of shots because you have a blood bag system. So as long as you've got a health kit, it will use it automatically. So you can kind of just keep.
And you just have loads of them.
Yeah, you could have. I had 2 small ones and 2 extra large ones at all times. So I basically had like 5 health bars. But yeah, so it kind of encourages you to have fun. And I think this game, more than the first one, leans into that kind of breezy attitude. Like the first one is very dour, and like while this game it is sad because it's about the extinction of humanity, they're much more. It feels much more like they're willing to push you to be like, you can do something crazy here. For example, this Ghost Hunter mission me and Joe were just discussing. You go and visit this guy, and he's like, oh, there's a headless motorbike driving around terrorizing people. And then when you go there, spoilers. This whole episode's going to be spoilers, so if you want to play it, go play it. But when you go there, a massive racetrack just kind of spawns out of the ground, and then you drive around the racetrack fighting gangs of motorbikes. It's just like stuff like that. They're just like, oh, let's just do whatever we want. As long as it's fun, then we'll include it, which is cool, which is great.
It's also worth saying, I think, you kind of described the gameplay saying, oh, you haven't played Death Stranding 1, but I think it's also worth mentioning that if you did play Death Stranding 1, Death Stranding 2 is very similar. Like you will immediately like, because I hadn't played the first one since obviously we did it in the podcast, and going back in, just seeing like the menus, and once you kind of get to these places where you're delivering, you see like the hologram of the person coming up, and they're reusing a lot of the same animations and stuff. I was like, okay, this is like Death Stranding 1 and then some, like, and I think that's fine. Like I'm always, we were saying in the podcast, like I think it's fine to like reuse assets and stuff, but it is. This Death Stranding 2 isn't a big reinvention or even a big evolution over the first one. It's more of a fine-tuning and streamlining in certain areas, but then also adding a bunch of new things, and then obviously a new story in a new location. I think it's probably a pretty fair way to describe what this is in terms of a sequel.
I think so. And that actually surprised me. Like obviously I knew that I'd seen videos of it, I knew it was going to be mostly the same, but I felt like it was very unlike Kojima Productions to make something that is so similar to the previous game. So like when I was discussing with my friends like what's Death Stranding 2 going to be like we had these crazy outlandish ideas because normally, even in, obviously, this is going to get compared to Metal Gear Solid hundreds of times, but in Metal Gear Solid, even those games that are running in sequence are all quite different. You know, they all have this basis of sneaking, but like MGS4 versus MGS3, they're completely different. The systems are different. Whereas this game,
even
the
2
systems
to
are
3,
mostly,
to be fair,
yeah, exactly,
on the same.
And then
console.
5 to 4, like all of them. Maybe 1 and 2 are the most similar, but it's like the jump in technology was so mad that I guess they did what they could. But the Death Stranding 2, I think, is so close to Death Stranding 1 that I was a bit like, oh, it is mostly the same, which is fine because it's an amazing game. Death Stranding 1 is amazing, but I was just a little bit like expecting something a bit more out there. And also I think that, God, I can't believe I'm laying into this game. I literally love it. It's one of the best games I've ever played. The other thing is they really lean on third person action, which is like, this is like really incredible third person action, but there are thousands of third person action games and there's only one delivery man game, which is Death Stranding 1. Whereas so Death Stranding 1, you're probably walking and not really fighting 90% of the time. Whereas I feel like in this game, it's closest to like maybe almost 50-50 for the amount of times that you're drawing your gun.
I don't think 50-50. I think you're delivering more than combat, but it is a lot more. It is a lot more than the first game. And I do think it has lost, as you say, a bit of its specialness. Like, because in the story, if like someone dies and then the ghosts in the game, basically, these BTs, if they reach them, it creates a void out, which is basically a huge explosion, which is a really interesting thing. It's like, oh, okay, third person game, oh, I'm sure I'm going to be shooting stuff. It's like, no, because if you kill someone, you're going to destroy like this whole area. Like, don't kill anyone. And so the first game was kind of really interesting because you're like, okay, well, there's all these people trying to kill me, but I can't kill them, so I'm going to have to be creative and use these different tools and maybe try and knock them out or like sneak past them. And in this game, it's the same rules. If you kill someone, there'll be this explosion, but they're like, okay, here's like a heavy machine gun that shoots like rubber bullets. So it's like, you know, like, it's like you basically get everything that you would expect in a third person game. Like, here, you can shoot rockets that will like concuss them. And it shows like, oh, you're kind of trying to have your cake and eat it too. You want to just have the third person action gameplay where you're shooting people, but then you've kind of almost retconned this. I mean, not retconned it. It just feels a bit of a weak explanation.
Yeah, in a way, they do kind of retcon it because, like, I can't believe I'm laying, and I literally can't believe this is the way this podcast is going because, like, this game is absolutely incredible. But like, Death Stranding 1, the world and the plot and the game mechanics are so tightly intertwined that any changes they wanted to make for 2, they had to kind of undo what they'd done. So like in the first game, there's this big thing about dooms, which is like this illness that people can have where they can sense the other side. So like ghosts and stuff like that. And then they had these babies. This is what you definitely would have seen if you've seen the game. You have a baby that is attached to the other side, and then they can kind of see these ghosts as well, right? There's a part at the beginning of Death Stranding 2 where you have to go and take out some ghosts, but you can just see them. And Sam's like, well, I guess my dooms has got worse because I can see the ghost now. It's like, that's it.
And then there's no further discussion about it.
No, there isn't. Which, like, for other games is fine. Like, very quick detour, in Resident Evil 7, there's a part where Chris Redfield says he works for Umbrella, and then he goes, oh, but I work for Blue Umbrella, which are the good ones. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, Resident Evil is not really about the plot, so I don't care. Whereas Death Stranding is so intertwined with the plot that it's like, you just can't do that without it looking sloppy. And the other thing they have is in this game, you have this thing called the DHV Magellan, which is a ship that you can fly around. And it can fly to like any of the major delivery points that you've been to before. Just to be clear,
you don't it's like quick travel.
Oh, no, sorry. It's like a moving base. It's like a moving home base. And it goes to any of the places you've been to before by traveling underground. Like Drills doesn't fly. But they keep having to say like, oh, the tar currents are not working. Because it's so intertwined with the plot, they can't have a reason that you can't use it.
If they have a mission where like they want you to have to walk somewhere for whatever reason, they'll just say like, oh, you know, actually we're resting or whatever, and they don't even always have the same reason. They just have and it's like so obvious. It's just because they want you to walk that.
Well, they have a canned call they use quite a few times where it's like, hi Sam, Tarman here. The tar currents aren't acting the way we're expecting, and it's like the same call they use. Yeah. But like the mad thing about that is DHV Magellan can fly. So it's like, just fly there. Like, it flies in the story multiple times. Just fly to where you need to go rather than drilling. But anyway, this is all by the by. I'm glad it's all out of the way
just
now.
While we're on that,
yeah.
What do you think about that quick travel system in general?
It's fine. I used it when I needed it. I didn't use it for any deliveries because I kind of felt like I was stealing from myself if I do that. Like, if I had to deliver something back and using the Magellan was an option, I would just go myself because I was like, what's the point of even doing it if I'm going to do that? But like, yeah, I think it's fine, but I don't think, I don't know if it, it's okay. It's perfectly serviceable. I'm neutral on it. Not positive or negative. I like the ship. The ship design's cool. The crew within the ship is cool. Everyone having their little jobs is cool.
All the audio design, just even when it it appears, just like kind of like horn that it plays. Like, yeah. I mean,
and having the new character of the captain of the ship, he's great. George Miller from whoever I don't know who he's voiced by, unfortunately, because they did all the work. But George Miller's his face scan with his little like tar hands. He's got like his hand missing, and he like puts it in the port, and he can like sense the which is all cool.
Tar cat as well.
Yeah. And I really like that. The crew, I think, are on par with the Death Stranding 1 crew. I don't feel like they get as much of a chance to be as cool and as relatable as the Death Stranding 1 crew, because the Death Stranding 1 crew had much more of their backstory kind of baked in to the game, which is a huge difference between Death Stranding 1 and 2. So Death Stranding 1 had way more cutscenes, way more talking. Like, every time you got a new toy to play with, they'd be like, you should try out that toy. And then you take it out and they phone you like, hey, about that carrier you've got, you should. And it's like, oh my God, let me live. Whereas Death Stranding 2 skips all that, but at the same time skips quite a lot of the backstories unless you want to go and seek them out, which I guess I just never did. But I didn't know that until after I finished it.
I think the thing is, obviously there's like the individual character backstories, but with Death Stranding 1, a lot of obviously there's the story that's happening, but a lot of the cutscenes are in learning about the world that you exist in, what the rules are, what is the history of this world, what are you trying to do, what are all of these things, what is a beach, what is a BT, what is a chiral network, what is a chiral crystal, whatever. You're learning about all of this stuff. Whereas in Death Stranding 2, they're spending less time explaining that because, they introduce some new things, but mostly it's about the events that are happening rather than the world they're happening in. So it does feel like a different type of story is being told.
And also in Death Stranding 2, you have a very basic conversation system. So you can choose if you want to hear more information, which also, that conversation system and all of the UI and the way you interact with the game is so clever. The conversation system is the 4 D-pad options. So you click right and they tell you about the chiral network. The next time those options come up, the right button again will be like more details. So it's like you're going down, it's like, God, that's just so smart to do it like that rather than have as a list. But in this game, I don't know if you've seen the cutscene yet, so I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a part where Dollman says to you oh, do you know about this thing? And then you can say, yes, I'd like to hear it, or no, I don't want to hear it. And then, so I said yes, and he explained it to me. And then someone else joined the cutscene after he'd explained it to me. And I was like, oh God, we're going to have to go through all this again. And he goes, Sam, you go to bed. I'm going to catch this person up on what we've just talked about. And I was like, wow, that is so different to Death Stranding 1. That would be like, in 1912, the Lebanese, explaining everything to you over and over again.
There is still, it is less than the first one and much less than some of Kojima's previous games. There is still a lot of someone standing there overly explaining in a very unnatural way about some disease they have or something in the world or something. There is still a decent amount of that in this game. But
at least they're interesting though. The characters are all interesting. The backstories they're so quirky. There's a character in this game that has 2 right hands, and it's the maddest thing to see them picking things up with both their hands are right. But that was really cool. Just on that quickly, I'm assuming you've been to the Motherhood and you would have done all that by now, right?
Yep.
I didn't understand all the Roman stuff. When you walk towards the Motherhood, the song plays called Rome, and then you get there, and the baby's called Caesar that they're talking about, and she's got the Caesar's leaf thing around her head, and I just could not figure out why it was about Rome at all. Completely no idea when I was playing it, and I was looking for it and I couldn't figure it out.
I'm not
just
sure.
Crazy.
I'm not sure. Yeah, no, but I did that and then got like just destroyed. Like there's like the weapons factory scene that you go to where there's Higgs. I think it's worth just saying just while we're talking about the characters and stuff, the performances, both visually and the and voice are like 10 out of 10, I think, throughout the whole game. Like, I think the voice acting and the production on the cutscenes are just like I think they probably elevate the script for where the script is lacking. I think they really managed to. I don't know. They're just really believable characters and just great performances throughout.
Yeah, and the facial scanning technology and the rest of it is obviously just absolutely unbelievable. Death Stranding 1 looked great and still looks great, but I did pull, and I'll send to you now, Joe, in the chat and Discord, Death Stranding 1 versus Death Stranding 2 of the main character, Sam. And I was like, oh yeah, it looks the same. And then I looked at it, like this comparison, and I was like, God, it looks like multiple generations ahead graphically of how good it looks compared to the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really. And the lighting and everything, really unbelievable upgrades. But yeah, all of the... And Sam himself, actually, he gets more screen time, more lines, more to do in the story. He's not just, he
speaks more. Like, there's more... So whenever there's, like, when the first game there was a smaller cutscene, I'm like, okay, he's not going to speak. And then in this one, there'll be times when you like there's little cutscenes where you just while in the ship you just run into someone and they'll be doing something, and then he'll like make a comment on it, and I'm like, oh, it's one of the ones where he's speaking. Oh, I didn't think he would speak for this like little moment. I wonder if because the first game was such a hit, I wonder if he like. Maybe when the first one he's like, oh, I'm doing this video game thing, whatever, and then maybe when the first game came out and he saw some of it and heard how well it did and how much everyone liked it. I wonder if for this one he was like, oh, you know what, this is actually something I should spend a bit more time, or maybe it was just down to contract negotiations or something.
No, I think you might be right. I don't know about his career and the quality of the games that he's in, but obviously he was scanned for a few of the Walking Dead games, and maybe people don't talk about them so much. And this probably became something that he gets asked about.
But he was in the Walking Dead show, so I guess that...
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit of a like, oh, it's a video game. Like, I'll just turn up and do the thing.
I mean, to be clear, he speaks way less than you would expect in a game. And like all of that dialogue tree system where he's speaking is most of that he doesn't speak. It's just the text. Some of them he does in some of like the bigger ones, but most of them he doesn't speak. Whereas in other games, with a more full-time voice actor, you would expect those lines to be spoken. So, I do think we are losing out on some dialogue that we could have had, but he does feel a little bit more present. I actually went back and listened to the first podcast that we did about Death Stranding 1. And in it, I was talking about like a scene where, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like someone talking about like their baby died or something horrible. And he's just
Sandsmaker or something.
Yeah, and he just stares at them.
Yeah.
Like the whole time. It doesn't say anything. And that took me out of the moment for how ridiculous it is that he just doesn't say anything in that moment as an example. Whereas I feel like that if that scene was in this one, he would at least have a few lines.
Yeah, this game also dives a lot more into him as a character. It's not just him reacting to what's going on. Like a lot of the plot is around him and his past. I won't say any more, fear of spoilers, but a lot of it is like you really find out who Sam is in this world, and he's obviously not just a delivery person, but like, so because of a lot of it hinges on him, you get more out of him and you see more of his personality. And I like him. I liked him in the first one, and I like him in this one. I think he's got a really good balance, whether it's him or Kojima, where it's like he's prepared to get silly and do something funny, and it's like it just endears you to him. Like there's a scene where if you use a certain hot spring outside the Motherhood, I don't know if you did that. No. And you can just do silly things like put the hot spring bucket on your head, and like it's just like okay, this is nice. He's a funny guy. But I think that this game suffers from the same as the first one with Higgs, in that you kind of forget about him because he's a great villain, really mad, really steals every scene that he's in, but compared to humanity being extinct, is quite a small. It's like, oh, I forgot about that because I'm trying to stop humanity from being wiped out. So of course I'm not going to remember this little guy who comes in every so often and makes weird jokes.
He seems better in the first game.
Yeah,
he was pretty forgettable. I think that was true for the first game because he would just pop up out of nowhere and you'd be like, oh yeah, this guy. Like, how I don't even understand how you're entwined with the story. I know there was the history with Fragile, which I guess was the main part with him. But yeah, he was quite forgettable. In this game, he's tied in a little bit more. Like he's got like his red soldier, like robot dudes, that kind of show. So even when he's not there, you're seeing his influence and he's spoken about more. So like I haven't seen where that ends with him. But I've enjoyed my encounters with him more. Like the first time you fight him, he's got like this big giant, almost Metal Gear style like mech thing that you're fighting, and then he goes around in like this coffin that like travels through the tar, and then later on you get that coffin as basically like a giant skateboard that you can skate around in.
It's so
and it's
fun,
really good. And then you can and to what I was talking about earlier, how everything's got multiple uses, you could also then like hide in it as well, which I've not done yet. But yeah, I see whether that
hiding in it is really
up.
cool. I thought it was just going to shut and fall on the floor. It like goes whoop and slips through the tar. So you're underground. So you're completely gone.
Nice,
also, one other thing, if you're riding that, you should get off it and go to sleep where you are.
Okay.
Just try that. It's really cool.
That's a very Kojima type thing, those sort of little sneaky things.
But with the game being quite a heavy retread of the first one, there's also a replacement for Cliff in the first game, who was Mads Mikkelsen's character. There's a new character called Neil, who is kind of his replacement. I don't know if you
Sorry,
his name
did you say Nirvana, Ollie? Did you say
Neil Varda? It's so stupid. But whatever, like that's how he names his characters. That's fine. I mean, I just found out the other day that Die Hard Man in the first game, his real name is John McClane. So like he's not pulling any punches.
just in case it wasn't obvious enough.
You
the
didn't
reference.
Get it. Yeah. But anyway, Neil Varna. So that's another thing. It's just a copy of the first game where there's this guy that every so often you teleport to a new location and you have a big fight. And like the third person shooting is good. The fights are better than serviceable. They're better than fine. They're actually pretty fun.
There's a spectacle to them as well.
Yeah.
Like
really
from the
unbelievable.
environment. Like the first one, there's fire everywhere. The second one, you're like basically as if you're underwater, but there's actually like low gravity. So they're a cool sequence, but as you were saying, they're quite removed from anything else in the game.
Yeah, but even more so that in the first game, it was like, God, all we're doing is comparing to the first game. I'm assuming if you've played the first game, listen to this. You're not going to listen to this without playing what's in the first game. In the first one, Cliff Unger always teleports you to famous battlefields, like World War II, Vietnam, because it's like, oh, this is places where loads of people have died. Kind of makes sense, like in the weird way that Death Stranding works. Death Stranding 2, I don't know what was defining where we went. I didn't know what the through line was of these places, because I've also seen the one after where you are. I don't really know what is tying these places together at all. So, but I mean, great, fun to go to, fun to run around, look unbelievable, especially the first one is really impressive. It's like
and then there's more of a story with Neil that like I still haven't fully explored. Like every time, well, not every time, but a lot of the time when you attach to BB, you kind of have like a flashback of something. I assume that's Neil's life, or is it that's all kind of related to him somehow. They're always a little bit too short and spread out. That like I'd need to see them all in a row to try and piece it together. I generally have no idea what's going on in those flashbacks. Maybe that's just me though.
Well, I will say, obviously avoiding spoilers, the last 4 chapters of the game really just all the plot comes out. You don't really have any deliveries to do. It's just like a gauntlet of like different things happening. So all of that does get revealed, and I will say no more. You'll see when you get to there. Complete opposite end, opening of the game with that kind of dried mountain region that you're standing on. I think anyone with an interest in games should look at that, because I literally was like, bloody hell, I can't believe this is playable, because it looks so amazing. So it does that classic thing where it's a cutscene and then it goes around and then it's like Sam's just standing there. And I was
it's not even a case of like, oh, is this playable or is it pre-rendered? It's like, oh, I thought like they were using some live action footage in this.
It's
like,
that good.
It's like, oh, is it a video game or is it real life? It looks so good.
Really, really crazy. Really impressive.
So, because you begin in Mexico, and it starts with the opening. So, like, Sam's basically retired, and he's with Lou, who is a child now, like a toddler. Like, do we kind of get into that with the opening? So I maybe like just what the setup of the story is.
He's basically run away to Mexico. He's abandoned his bridges. He's abandoned bridges, and
he hadn't really. He'd kind of finished his job, right? He had done.
Well, no, he's on the run. He's on the run. That's the whole thing. That's why he's got a hidden house. His house is like a holographic.
Oh, I just assumed that's why is he? What's he on the run? Why is he on the run?
Because he was in a government posted position and he gave it up, which you're not.
Oh, it's okay.
So he's
I missed that. I assumed he was just hiding from the bandits or whatever, the mules.
No. So he's on the run, and maybe that. Well, definitely in the cutscene, someone says to him like, "What are you going to do? You're going to carry? You're going to go on the run again and then it's going to find you again."
And I guess Lou is government property as well.
He's not. Yeah. He's running away. He's a criminal for the right reasons, basically. And then I can't really remember. He gets called upon by Fragile, who's his kind of ex-partner, kind of ex-lover, who runs another delivery company, who's also given it up, and is like, God, it's so long ago for me now. It's like, there's something you have to do in Mexico that means only you can do it. And then that kind of is how it all transpires and rolls from there. But I can't remember exactly what it is that she asks you to do.
I think it's just connect up Mexico. Like,
connect up, yeah. In the opening hour or two, a big catastrophe happens and Lou gets hurt, the baby gets hurt, Fragile gets hurt, and it all turns out to be Higgs from the first game getting his revenge using these red soldiers, basically. So yeah, that's the big opening. I actually think that the Mexico-Australia is like another thing where it's like it doesn't feel well thought out enough to be in the game, where it's like I feel like they included Mexico because they wanted like this trafficking story and they wanted to include Trump's border wall, which they did. But then you kind of go, oh, no, we have to go to Australia. And it's like of all the places where you could connect up, I wouldn't say Australia was the most important. I would have said Europe. So it's a bit like...
But that's where the Plategate went to, Ollie.
Right, okay, yeah. And the Plategate could go anywhere because it's not real.
I know. So then that's another thing that feels a bit like just they've added in. So basically, when you connect up fully connect up one country or one region, then that creates basically a teleporter that will randomly go to somewhere else in the world.
Yeah. Which, that's fine. That's just, they've made something up. At least they've made something up to try and make it make sense. But I just feel like crossing America in the first game is such a cool concept and so easy to say to someone like, yeah, you walk across America. And in the second game, it's like, yeah, you go down to Mexico for a couple of hours, but then you teleport away to Australia. It's a bit like, it's just a bit messy. And I think that...
And who cares about Australia? No one cares about Australia.
George Miller cares about Australia.
That's what Ollie's trying to say. That is what Ollie's trying to get to here.
I think that he wanted the extreme weather of Australia and the extreme environment, but he didn't let that stop him in Death Stranding 1.
Well, why didn't he say you're connecting up Europe, but it just looks like Australia? I mean, that
exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. But yeah, anyway, it's good. I never actually went back to Mexico once I left, even though I left quite a lot to do. I kind of just forgot about it.
It's quite small, Mexico, in the game.
In the game, yeah.
I mean, I think it's almost... I think they also probably wanted a little bit of... Almost like the Great Plateau in Breath of the Wild. That
it's the same sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a smaller tutorial region that's like, okay, we'll let you get up to speed with all the controls and how this game works, or if you're new, it will be a good onboarding. And then when you get to Australia, it's like, okay, we're just in now. We don't have to... All the tutorials, all of that is done. You're just doing what you're doing now. So it does kind of mechanically serve that purpose as well. Yeah,
definitely mechanically, but also they could have just had that as the first area of Australia.
Yeah.
Like you didn't need to, but then you'd lose out on the trafficking thing and the border wall and all the rest of it, which is important to the story. Like the whole division of people, like you need to have the border wall. You know, it's something that happened. So
because the whole time you're basically connecting people to this chiral network, which is almost like the internet, kinda. It's basically connecting up the world of all these like separated outposts, but you're never. Well, at least I'm never 100% sure if I'm doing a good thing when I'm doing it, because you know I don't fully trust the UCA, and then they're always have these kind of shady characters really trying to assure you, no, we don't want control over these regions, we're just helping them, you know, and so there's that, which was touched on a little bit in the first game, but it was this government connecting up their region at least. And now it's like, now they're connecting up other regions to their network. I don't know how that, if they get deeper into that, and if there's a payoff at the end of the story. I don't want to know, but that's It's, especially at the beginning of the game, it hasn't been discussed in a while, but Sam seems a little bit hesitant and fragile. I was like, no, honestly, it's good, but we'll see.
I think ultimately the chiral network it's the same as the internet, right? Like it's a good thing if you use it for good purposes. But at the same time, you can easily use it for evil. Very easily use it for evil.
Yeah, but it's like, imagine if the internet was all set up it was just the US government owned all the internet.
True.
It's kind of like
true. I mean, it's like the game.
You can look at maps of like where internet cables are like run, like under the ocean and stuff, and you can see like how there's like loads between like Europe and America and around here, and then like there's other regions that it's the same companies doing it around the world, but there'd be like one wire going to like to the center of Africa or something. You can see how like the bias of the world is affecting who has even access to the best internet.
Yeah, the game it kind of dips its toes into modern issues. Never really goes too far with them. It will kind of make a note of them and say like, the modern issue that you're facing in real life is also happening in this world. So they'll be like, like colonization, or like, AI. They just mention it again. And they're like, there's a really weird bit that really stood out to me. That's like, the reason they keep making weapons factories is because America loves guns. Have you done that bit yet?
I don't know if this says, I mean, I've done the weapon factory.
There's a cutscene where they're like, America's trying to proliferate guns because back in the old world they really loved guns and they always used it to defend themselves against the government, but it didn't always come to that. And it's a bit like, and then that's it. I was a bit like, okay, that's fine. But anyway, look, we are diverting away. We've barely talked about the gameplay at all, which is just really unique. The thing that really starts me the most, with the same as the first game too, is the controls. They're the sort of thing that's, when you pick up the controller, you're like, this is really weird. But then as you kind of get used to it, it's like, this is actually really intuitive and interesting. Like the fact that you hold down, the triggers are kind of your hands. So it's like, I want to hold onto my bag to brace myself so I don't fall over. So obviously that's both the triggers. Or there's a case on the floor I want to pick up. So I hold one trigger, I've now picked it up. And then if I walk over to my carrier and let go of the trigger, I will place it on the carrier. And all that stuff.
Or like while holding it, you could press attack and then you swing. And then if you let go, that's how you throw things. Yeah.
It's so clever. And the way that it all works, like, when I go to my cargo management to look at, the 50 things I'm carrying, the car that I'm standing near appears in that menu and just works. Like you just go, okay, we'll just put it in the car. And then I'll show like literally a half a second scene of Sam like loading the car. It's like all of that stuff. I don't even know how much work it must have taken to get that to be flawless. The game basically has no bugs. Yeah, and anything.
And I'd say that Death Stranding 1, they were probably 75% of the way there. It was really good in Death Stranding 1. And Death Stranding 2 is they just obviously, after people playing it for years, just found all of the friction points, all of the bits where it wasn't, as intuitive or streamlined, and kind of ironed all of those out. But yeah, the UI and just interacting with the game, and then mechanically, but also just on an audio visual level, like it's like I can't, at least at the top of my head, think of a better example. And with so much complexity, there's so much to do. There's so many things you can do in the menus. but every base that you go to, you have so many options for things that you can do, but it's all. So everything I'm doing, it feels like, okay, I'm doing it in the least inputs that would have been required to do this. It's pretty amazing.
The attention to detail is just absolutely astounding. Like, even as small as skipping a cutscene. So like when you leave your room to go and have a shower, it plays the same scene every time where he walks down the hallway. You hold down the X button to skip and it goes, it fills up this little gauge, it skips it. If something is going to happen in that hallway, when you hold down the button, it fills up slower. So it's like, oh, I should watch this one. Like, God, it's so clever. It's so simple as well. Such a simple little thing. And then the other thing is you were saying all these different menu options. Any opportunity they give you to make this kind of your own, they will give that to you. They'll even be like, if you want to paint the ship, you can paint the ship, which I didn't even do. But they gave it to you so that in a cutscene, it will appear in the camo that you picked. Or like, oh, you want to paint your BB pod. Like your baby pod. Okay, yeah, you can do that. You can put on a funny hat. You can wear it backwards. You can change the color. Like, you can, any opportunity they give you to put yourself into this, they take it. And like, even things like, you have an MP3 player in this game, which is something a million people asked for in the first game. But the fact that you can't just play the music is quite cool, because you have to build a playlist, which means like, oh, I've made my own thing. And once again, I'm more involved than I would be in any other game. And I think, as I said, when we did the Death Stranding 1 podcast, like, it kind of feels like having a little Tamagotchi of a guy that you kind of have to do things with. And it really endears me to him. Like, oh, this is my little guy that I feed and give drinks to and clean and play music for. It's just really, really clever. It's really, really clever. Did you do any of the VR missions at all?
No. Is that like when you're in your private room, like
or on the ship? You do it on the ship as well, yeah.
No, I don't. I assume that was mostly tutorial stuff, so I've not done any of them.
It's closer to like, do you remember Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, where they added loads of mad stuff? It's more like that. It's much bigger, and also it has its own plot line. That
okay. I
think will probably come to head even if you've not done it, but it kind of has its own little, it's very, very, very small plot line. Do you know what? I'm just going to spoil it because it's so minor. But basically, one of the people on the ship gets really into VR, and then you see them climbing the leaderboards, and that comes to head like as part of the end of the game. So it's like, oh, because I did that, I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, not only am I playing against someone in VR, like that's become part of the story, which is really, really great. But the chance to really go for it with the mechanics in VR is really fun. Like I did the stealth ones, and like the amount of options that you have. I think the stealth in this game is really good. It's really fun. It's not as good as Metal Gear Solid. Obviously, it's a little bit more tuned down, and a couple of the tunings they've made have made a huge difference. Like, for example, in Death Stranding, the enemies don't communicate. So like in Metal Gear Solid 2, you would take someone out and you would hear their radio go, "What's going on? Respond." And you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, like I have to do something now because I'm in trouble." Whereas in Death Stranding 2, they don't communicate. So once you're not one of them out, they're just out.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to... The stealth is really good until you get spotted. And then it's usually...
you've got to fight your way out.
Yeah, and then the shooting's fine, but it's then the AI isn't... I think just with the open environments as well, it's often just like, okay, people running at me and I'm shooting them. Or like I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to stand behind this wall and have the shotgun out, which is really strong, and one at a time, they're going to go around the corner and I take them out. You know, there's very rarely a case where, I've been spotted, but okay, I'm going to hide in here and I'm going to reset. I mean, I could do that, but it's like I'd be making a choice to do that. It wouldn't always be like the best option. I just feel like, it's just going to take a bit longer.
They're also woefully underpowered. The enemies, like, they can throw a spear. And it's like, well, I've got every gun in the world. I've got a box that if I throw in the air shoots rockets. Like, you're not going to be able to get near me. But the other tuning they did on the stealth is that in Metal Gear Solid, the enemies have wide vision cones, but they can't see very far. Whereas in Death Stranding, they have really narrow vision cones, but they can see absolutely miles, which I think is not as fun, because it means you'll be walking along a cliff edge and someone on the other cliff or the other side of the valley will see you, and it's like, oh, okay, I didn't even know he was there.
I love the orange glow, the light that comes when they see you.
Yeah. All of that's really communicated really well. Like the yellow light as well, to be like they think you're there, but they're not. They're not entirely sure. I forgot what I was going to say. What was I
talking about the stealth? and not about when you get spotted. You're talking about Metal Gear when they're talking. They don't talk in this.
Yeah. The thing is, I think the way they've tried to balance it is like they'll tell you how many enemies are in the base. So let's say 7, and really what you're trying to do is when you're stealthing, is knock all of them out before they wake the first one up. So that kind of becomes the game, but it's so easy to do. Like any gun you have will knock someone out. You have this gun that's like shoots a rope. Yeah, it's just like, okay, that's the stealth one. So you don't really even need to use it because if you've got a silenced SMG or a silenced assault rifle, which is what I use for most of the game, it's so easy to knock people out. But good fun. It's fun to, it's like when we did Batman. It's fun to be the most powerful thing sometimes. So
I think it's better than the first one. There's more of it, but because it's not its main focus, it's probably not as good as the rest of the game. And so I kind of wish it was maybe slightly less of the focus, but I'm never annoyed to do it. There was one time when I completely cleared out a base, and then when I came back later and they were all back there again and kind of in the same places, and I kind of wish that it was kind of, if you cleared, because I didn't have to clear it. I took the time to clear it out. I kind of was like, okay, well I've got rid of these ones now. I kind of wish they didn't all come back. Yeah,
that's actually a really good point, because once you finish the game and you can carry on after you've seen the credits, you have the choice to play the game as pre-credits or post-credits, like that world, and you can switch between them anytime you want. So actually there's no reason why they should repopulate the bases after you've cleared them out, because you can always switch them back on after you finish the game.
Yeah, or there's like the VR missions. The other thing that's quite nice for like messing around is it's just got a really generous save system. So if you want to attempt something risky, you can always just save, attempt it. If it doesn't work, go back. Obviously it's save scumming. If you want a pure experience, you can't do that. But if you are, it just means that I'm more open to like do things that I might not do otherwise if I can do a little cheeky save. But there was quite like a wide river, and there's those ramps that you can just like jump off and you go really far. And I was like, I think I'm going to make it, but I'm not sure. But I've got like quite a lot of important cargoes. I was like, I'm going to do a cheeky save, and I just flew over it doing a bunch of front flips, and I was fine.
Nice.
But I might not have. I'd have lost so much progress if I failed that I might not have risked it otherwise.
I jumped off the highest peak in the game with no way to slow my landing. I just want to see how long it takes. I just use like the double jump, like the leg kit thing that makes you jump.
Because if you do it off the ramp, you don't take full damage, so you probably would have just gone on for ages and landed. I think
they were probably my most used thing to build ramps, because the thing is with the bridges is because you got to put metal in them. It's like just make it cost 2 PPCs, one for the beginning of the bridge, one for the end of the bridge. That's how I would do that, rather than having to carry like 600 metal to make the large bridge, which is 3 extra large containers, which is like you're getting to the point where Sam's walking slowly trying to move stuff like that.
And often when your bridges, you're not planned ahead for it. It's like you're walking, you're like, I need to cross this. It's like, I could put this down. But then I now need to go back to somewhere to get the metal, or I could just do a ramp on either side of the river. I'd often put them down, but I'd be like, this would be a good place for one. Hopefully someone else will finish it off, and then I get all the likes.
Oh, speaking of likes, how many? What's the like situation like?
Oh, I didn't count up, but I just realized we haven't spoke about the Strand nature of the game at all, which I think was elevated in this game. So I'm not sure. Probably not that many. Well, one of the things is I found with the game, I found less times where I needed to put down anything, like not just the structures, but ladders and the anchor points, like the ropes to climb down. I found that, especially once you've connected an area to the network, there's so much stuff everywhere. Normally someone's put something kind of where I would have put it anyway. Yeah. That it feels like this game, we spoke about kind of getting rid of some of the friction with the UI and stuff. I think in the gameplay as well, I think like a lot of the deliveries you could just drive there in like the truck or like the tri-bike thing. And sometimes it feels like, okay, I probably should be climbing here, but I can just about get my way up. That it felt quite a bit easier, to the point where now I'm actively choosing to not use some of the easier stuff to make it more fun for me, which works, But I also never like that as much as I like being pushed to need to do something and then overcoming it. Just feels better than, being, like, oh, I'm going to do it with one hand behind my back now isn't as satisfying as, no, I've worked really hard to be able to do one thing. And so I think that although it's really cool when every time you arrive somewhere, it's like, oh, someone else has already put a charging post here, so I can charge. That's really convenient. I'll give them a like because that's a good place for it. But also it means I never need to do it. Like I've never needed to put down a watchtower, a charging point, like the timeful shelter things. Like I've not put down any of that stuff ever because there's always one basically where I would put it. So I feel like I'm just not engaging with that part of the game like I was in the first one.
I think it's worth mentioning that we played the first one quite a bit after it launched. And obviously we were playing this during the launch period, so it's going to be more populated and there's going to be more stuff. But I do agree with you that I'd be like, this would be a good place for a rope. And I'd go to stab one down and I'd look and there'd be one like 6 feet away from where I was. But then I guess the thing is that they're struggling with, which I'm not excusing, but the thing is that, from a design standpoint is like, it's really fun to have a climbing gauntlet or like something, it's really difficult. But then if you're forced to cross it 5 times, then you kind of maybe it would actually become quite annoying to be like, oh, this is a really complicated climbing system where I'm having to like work out the puzzle of how I'm going to walk through this, but I have to cross it to do a delivery each way.
But what I found really satisfying with the first game is that you first arrive at an area and it's like, oh, it is really tough and difficult. Say like the snowy area. I'm like, okay, it's really slow. I haven't got the snow boots and stuff. But then I populate it with all my parcel launchers and my zip lines and stuff, and it's like, okay, I have now put all of my stuff down and now I can go back and forth really easy because I built that infrastructure, and I haven't had that experience. I'm getting it a little bit more now. Actually, coincidentally, makes sense. Now I'm in the snowy area, which is kind of a more mountainy area. Like I have started putting down a couple zip lines there, but it's only really now that I'm getting any of that. But often it's like, oh, there's already a bunch of zip lines. If I add one more here, I can finish the chain. Whereas the last time, it felt more like I was setting up my area as I want it. And now it almost feels like I'd be wasting my time doing that here because everyone else has kind of done it before me.
Yeah, I think that mission you did at the weapons factory, that was the first one that I was like, oh, I need to start paying attention now because they are doing some serious damage. And I think the mountainous area is also the first time that I was like, I need to think about what I'm doing here because it's getting a lot trickier. And I don't know if that's because we have passed the point where most people have played and there's less things, or if it's because the game is just getting harder and they are thinking about that more.
A lot of the terrain early on, as I said, you can just drive there. And so, but the mountainy area is less suited for driving, so I'm on foot a little bit more. And so you have to be a bit more active. And I did mention briefly earlier the Pokeball. You get basically a grenade where there's these giant BTs, like different types of them. And if you, like Pokemon, literally, if you get them weak and you throw your grenade, you can capture them and then you can throw and release them in battle. And that was the last thing I did in the game before here, which was like the best final impression I could have. Because I don't know if it's just for this one, I threw my guy out. And I swear it's doing like a reference to the old Godzilla films, like when they're fighting.
Yes, I told you. I was like, "There's a bit coming up. There's a moment that you need to see." It was that. I was like, you specifically would really like it. I'm really glad you got to see that. I'm
there on this rooftop with this like tar lake going on, and I'm seeing all of these giant beasts fighting, and the music kind of sounds like
it's like
the
brassy,
sort of music
like,
that is in like the 50s, like old like kaiju films, which I really love. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I was like rooting on my one and trying to like support them. So that was the final thing that I did, which was, such a good last impression of the game.
You can also go back to previous BT fights and that monster will respawn and then you can capture them as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So good that. And also there's this whole animal shelter bit. I don't know if you did that, if you did any of those extra ones where you go and capture animals for the shelter and then they'll start to appear around that area. And then you can go and look at them.
No, I didn't do like any of just like the wild animals, but like there's like an emu that I delivered there. That's kind of part of. I think that's one of the main missions. So I did that.
Yeah, the attention to detail is so insane that if you look at one of those animals in first person and turn the UI off while you're standing near it, it will start to play a tape about facts about that animal.
Oh, really?
And it's like, you would never see that any other way. But if you're looking at it, it's like the emu is blah, 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 blah. And then the other thing is, if you're building...
I killed the emu by accident the first time.
Mate, the animals are too soft. Like, I barely bumped one in my car.
I was trying to, they were like, oh, the emu's really fast. It might be hard to catch it. So I was trying to do it on my skateboard. I was hoping that I'd be able to grab it from the skateboard. So I was trying to get close behind it and press, I think, a square. You need to capture it. But I just ran it over, and it did like a failed mission, and it put me right on the top of the mountain. I was like, no!
Oh, no. If you want that emu, anyone listening, you can just shoot it, because your bullets are rubber. Or if you want a bit of a challenge, if you put your backpack down, you're so much faster and more quick. Like you'd easily catch it with your backpack off.
With the running legs, it was fine. It's just because Doleman was saying about how tricky it was going to be to catch, and then I saw someone else had left one of those coffins there, and I had my own one, but I was like, oh, did someone leave that there on purpose to help catch the emu?
Yeah, that's the other thing with this game as well, actually. Definitely more than the first one is, if you need something, they will spawn it nearby, which kind of is very handy, but also means that most missions I just wasn't preparing anything. Yeah,
and that's another thing I miss. I love being like, oh, okay, like let me look at the map. Okay, I'm gonna take 2 ladders. I'm gonna take this.
Yeah,
and I was at first I was doing that. And I was like, I'm just taking more weight. I'm going to leave all my stuff home, unless I can see that I really need. And the times when you do really need it, they will kind of say, they'll be like, oh, you might get in some combat here, you better prepare. Or, they kind of let you know when you do have to. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that Pokemon and animal collecting stuff and all the attention to detail is just unbelievable. Like using a monorail, if you zip line along a monorail and you don't have anything going on, it will just play facts about the area that you're going through, like different parts of Australia. And it's like, God, they've really thought of absolutely everything. Like, the game must have cost a fortune. Like, even if it didn't have multiple A-list celebrities in it that they had to pay, it would still cost a fortune because there's just so much content and so many different things you can do in it.
I think that's where it's smart, because there's so much reuse from the first game that they had that baseline, and so they're not spending loads of time developing a walking system or redoing all of the animations of him delivering things. Like the vehicles are basically the same. There's so much that's carried across, which means all of the development time could have gone to adding all of this new extra stuff, which is, I think, such a smart way to do it.
Yep. Last thing I would like to comment on before we move to questions, just because we haven't talked about it, is the licensed music. So the first game was 95% Low Raw was the band. Low Raw most of the time, all the time playing. They would start playing one of their really good songs about 5 paces away from where you need to be. So you have to slow down.
It's the same in this one. It's driving me crazy. You hit 20 seconds of every song.
Yeah, I think it's ever so slightly better. And also,
it's not. It's so bad.
It is. The fact they've added a music player is good, because I would listen to it when I would just be going to do build some roads. I also do really, as much as I loved the Low Raw soundtrack of the first game, obviously R.I.P. the lead singer, I'm really sad, but I do really appreciate that the second game's soundtrack's a bit more varied, like a few different artists. And the main song, Minus 61, I think it's what it's called, by Woodkid, which is like the song that plays at the beginning with the kids singing, is so good. Like, that song is amazing. You'll definitely, if you don't remember it now, you'll come to recognize it by the end, because they obviously use it again, and it's like, God. But actually, interestingly, that song, so it's these kids like chanting, and they add like military drumming behind it, and that's kind of like representative of the game, where it's like much more weapons focused. This whole plot line's about weapons, using weapons more, and I really liked that military marching kind of comes into the song. Like, it's a really clever way of kind of setting up that you're going into that without even realize they're foreshadowing it without even realizing. But yeah, the music is all really good. Maybe a little bit too many uses of Raindrops Have Fallen on My Head.
There's a character called Rainy whose whole thing is when she's outside, it's always raining on her, and so she's always singing that song and dancing to it. Yeah, I gotta say, I know we make fun of the character names, but I normally don't remember the names of characters in games. I always remember the names of all the characters in this game. It's so easy. It's like Rainy, like Tomorrow, Fragile. Like, it's so easy.
Yeah, and then also there is a little moment reasonably near the beginning where they bring back Dead Man from the first game. You definitely seen it by now. It's quite nice to see him. It's good to see your old friends. It was quite a nice moment.
Give him like an ending to his story, because obviously you saw him in the last game, then you went off, so you find out what's happened to him, and I assume it's just that moment. He doesn't show up anywhere else.
And the look, we've been talking for an hour and we've probably touched 10% of what is in this game. There's so many strange things that are just like so memorable. Like there's a character called Heartman. He's in the first game and he's in this game as well. You go and visit him and his lab assistant just keeps being sick. And that's like, you could go and talk to her about it and she's like, oh, my digestive system resets every 21 minutes. So it's like,
the first time you see her, you're like, she's like behind like this bookcase. And then she's just like,
she's embarrassed.
Like coughing. Yeah.
Yeah, if you talk to her, she's like, oh, I'm too embarrassed to be in front of people, so I stay back here. She throws up out of a hole. It's just mad.
I had a moment that it's probably missable. So I'd slept, and then I accidentally, after you sleep, it's like, do you want to sleep again till morning or whatever? I accidentally pressed it again and slept twice in a row. And I had like this nightmare with like the mannequin. Right. Have you had that?
No.
So... like what you think is you wake up and then you look outside and you see there's like this mannequin thing at the end, and then it starts like dancing, and then it like disappears, and then it sprints past. It's like a mannequin with like this old man face, like sprints past you.
Oh, so it's not the face of Die Hard Man.
No. It's like I don't know if it is someone else from the game or whatever, but it's just this little sit, and then like he wakes up. I was like, what was that?
Yeah,
it's like
there's so many.
I wonder if you keep sleeping in a row, it like that will play, but it's really, really weird.
Yeah, it's like, it's just that's an unbelievable amount. Like, you can take a drink in your room, boost your stamina by 25%, fine. You can take 3 drinks. There's a cutscene that plays randomly. I don't even know how many times I had a drink in the game. I've maxed my stamina out every single time, so I must have done it hundreds of times. One of the cutscenes, he misses the bin with his can, trying to throw it away, and then he picks it up, crushes the can up, throws it in the bin, misses it again. Like, has to walk over and like pick it up, just keeps missing it. There's just so many little things like that in the game that are just, it's so endearing. And like, even times where characters in cutscenes will give you a thumbs up, and it gives you so the in-game system, there's likes which you can gain by doing things that other players like, and they will give you a like. And even stuff like that is like, it's just so intertwined and so well
my
thought
favorite
out.
one is the moment when, so that Hartman guy, so he's constantly killing himself. Basically, he wants to have glimpses into the afterlife to find his family, so he has to keep killing himself. And in this one, he's got a suit, so whenever he dies, he just basically stays in whatever position he was in. And there's a time that he's dead, and then I think it's Fragile or someone like lifts up his thumb, so he gives you a like when he's dead. And then it plays like a little ding, like sound for like you getting a like.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Anyway, is there anything else you want to touch on before I go to questions?
No, I guess I'll talk like kind of overview of how much I liked it. I guess we'll speak about when we do it on the list will make sense. There's no other kind of specific moments I really wanted to bring up.
All right, cool. Okay, so questions then. Bryn P on our Discord server said, what was the funniest, weird or silly small moment you encountered in the game? I mean, individual moments or scenes rather than anything plot related. For example, and they said, I don't think it's a spoiler, but I'll cover it anyway, just in case it is. Sam dyeing his hair with a can of brown spray paint at the beginning, which was just a strange touch that I don't know why they needed to include that. But because when you first play as Sam again, he looks really old because his hair's all gone grey for an unexplained reason. And then he just goes, sprays it brown and then comes out and he's fine. I thought I would take this question as a moment to explain. I had a delivery from hell, a really bad delivery, where I basically had plot essential equipment with me, as well as I was like, on the way, why not just stop off at 5 other places and just take everything I need and go, drive my car over there. The ground just turns to tar. Massive hand comes out the ground, starts smashing me to bits, smashing up my car. So all of the equipment was just getting lost. Car was getting dragged under, and I was like, this is going so badly. And then bandits turned up while this is all going on, and basically the fight went bad. I didn't have any equipment with me to have a fight because obviously I barely take anything, so I wasn't expecting one. And I ended up causing a void out.
Oh, really?
A massive section of the map just became a crater.
And so that's just permanent. That's just the world now.
As far as I know, it's permanent because I reloaded my save because I was like, that was so embarrassing that I can't live with the delivery going like that. Like, it was so bad. And then the second time I did it, I took all the equipment and the boss fight didn't spawn. So I just drove straight through. But yeah, that was like, I'd never seen a void out, and it is catastrophic. The size of the thing. So basically what happens, I died as well. So when I respawned, it had all gone, and there was this huge crater with like a tar wall around it I could see through, but you can't pass through. But it's like, as far as the eye can see, it's just wiped out. And on the map, there's just a massive red circle where it was. So
oh wow,
yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean, I didn't have like a gameplay. I mean, the craziest cutscene was probably that mannequin dude nightmare. is probably the standout thing. Yeah, like I haven't had that many like as I said, I listened to me talking about the first one, and I kind of talked about this story where I got like captured by the mules, and they'd taken my cargo, as I had to kind of stealth mission to like steal it. Like I haven't had a story moment like that. Like, and I think that is one of my biggest dings about this game, is that it has been, a lot of the deliveries have been quite straightforward, and a lot of them, for at least the early part of the game, was me following a line, driving to where I needed to go without, apart from some of the main missions, a few standout ones, most of them I've just driven a route and not even had to build any infrastructure to do it. Has been my average delivery.
Yeah, it's like you have to allow there to be a mess up, because otherwise there isn't going to be one.
Yeah, but in the first one there was, and part of that might be just down to my inexperience. Like, I remember in the first one being like stuck in the river and trying to paddle, and all my like cargo going. But now I'm so careful, and I always scan the rivers to make sure they're not too deep, and I've got enough stamina that. Yeah, I think maybe. I think the thing with this game is they got all of these incredible systems. All of these, you have so many options available to you of ways you could tackle situations, both in the combat and the traversal. I just don't think the mission design is creative enough to encourage you to use it. Like, you have all of this stuff that you could use, and nothing's stopping you to use, and it would be fun to use, but you could also just walk or drive there most of the time. Yeah. I wish the environment and the mission structure gave you more situations to push you to use that stuff. And I think if it did, I would have ended up with more stories.
Yeah, I think so. I had quite a good one where, because I always, after doing the VR mission and learning that taking my backpack off made me way better at stealth, whenever I was taking out a mule camp, I would take my backpack and then strap it up so they couldn't steal anything and just leave it somewhere. I did have someone steal my backpack, the whole thing, wearing it. We're running off, and then Sam was like, "Oi, come back here! Like, that's my backpack!" And I had to chase him down, knock him out, and then take my backpack back. Then it gave me the choice to give him the pack if I wanted. So I gave him the backpack, and then he started posting on the in-game social media like, "I met this porter and he was so nice to me. I'm going to change my ways." And like, he gave me his backpack and he showed me that humans care, and like, he keeps posting, being like all these different things that he's doing. It's just like, it's so cool. But like,
how did you get another backpack? How'd you get your backpack back?
Do you know what? I think I just got another one back when I went back to the house. I don't remember. I think I just went back to the Magellan and I had a backpack again. But do you know what? Like, I had to allow that to happen. Like, I had to take my backpack off and put myself in a situation where it could go wrong. Otherwise, it's too straightforward. It's the same problem as Metal Gear Solid 5. Like, you had all these options, but really walking around the edge, using the trank dart and beelining for the objective is always the best solution. And it's hard to to do something other than that.
I always think that there's so many games, every time they have a system where it's like, say you got a teammate, and it's like, oh, and you can tell them to attack. So if you aim at an enemy and say, press this button, they'll attack them for you. And it's like, if I've aimed at an enemy, I could just shoot them and it would be done. So anytime they do like a system like that, I'm like, you've got to make something about it better than me just shooting it.
Yeah,
because if
true.
I have to look and aim and do the thing, like it could have been done, then I wouldn't have to be relying on the AI or whatever else the system's doing.
Yeah. Okay. Nick from our Discord asked, was there a moment in this game that surpassed your expectations with how weird the game would be? As in, Death Stranding is weird, but there is some weird stuff in this game, in the main story and in the world. I hate to be that guy, but the ending of this game is so strange that I can't wait for you to get there and we can talk about it when the game's finished. I will leave it at that, but that surpassed my expectation of this.
For me, it's, I mean, obviously just after playing the first game, like the first game introduced all of this stuff. This game, like I knew it all. Like I knew it was weird. And like most of it, especially in the first game, like it all within the world made sense. Like there'd always be like some weird visual or something.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I do see how that, in this world that they are in, it fits in to that world. Like we've said, there's the few moments that like things like the teleporting gates or, Sam's just got more dooms now and now he can see BTs. Like that stuff kind of stands out as not naturally fitting in with the rest of the world. I mean, I love the art of this game so much. I brought the art book for the first game. Anytime like those moments you say there's like a tar river and all like these buildings come up, but it's like in just the environment that you were in, like those moments still absolutely blow my mind. Like, and all of like the tech in this game looks so amazing. I love that. That is probably my favorite thing of the game is just the visual feast, and then in the cutscenes as well, like the how they're shot and like direct, like that direction is so good. I always look forward to those big cutscenes. That's one of the times I did message you. There's like a fight where it's you fighting with this character called Tomorrow, who's kind of moving kind of through the tar and stuff, and it's like playing this organ in the background. And like if this was in like
so incredible.
If this was in a movie, everyone would be going crazy about it. Like it's but there's several of scenes like that. I think back to Metal Gear Solid 4. Everyone talks about like the Raiden Vamp fight scene. With all like the robots and he's kind of like breakdancing. And I remember seeing that. That was like a standout scene. Like I went back and watched it not that long ago, and it's still really good. But there's like several cutscenes that are even better than that in this game, and I think more interesting.
A good little example of how weird this game is, but they play it completely straight, is Higgs, who's the main villain. He has an electric guitar that shoots. He can shoot. They never say, they don't try and explain it away, being like, this weapon needs to be charged by hitting the string. That's just what it is. And
like I love his mask.
The mask that changes when he turns away, he turns back, the expression will be different.
Well,
really cool.
It changes down to like, and it shows how much it's so tied into like the direction. It changes when the camera cuts. It will be like, he'll be smiling, like this mask will be smiling and it will cut. And then when it cuts back, it will be doing a different face. It just shows how it's almost acknowledging the cinematography, because it isn't like he will look away. There's no explanation. Like if Sam was just as he was in the scene looking at him, Sam would just see the mask cut. But that isn't the situation. We're watching essentially a short film here, and it's acknowledging that, and that is what transitions. And I really like that. It's almost like a slight fourth wall break. I think that's cool.
Silent Ninja 939 on our Discord said, "What did you guys feel of the more or completely non-subtle Metal Gear inspired moments and mechanics and general classic Kojima writing at times? Seems like Kojima is pretty eager to make an espionage game." I think, non-spoiler, I think this game is about Kojima's relationship to Metal Gear Solid. And I think there's multiple moments in the game where it becomes very clear. A lot of them are at the end, but one of them you would have already passed is when Tarman is talking about losing his son. And he's like, I'm kind of connected to it and I kind of know what's going on down there. But I used to have my right hand, but my right hand is now gone. And I was like, that's, in a way, that's like, okay, I kind of get it. Then he was like, it's like a phantom pain. And I was like, okay, like you're literally talking about Metal Gear Solid. And I feel like that's like the relationship, like he kind of knows what's going on with Metal Gear. Maybe he knew someone who was still involved with it and they've kind of stepped away. And now he's like, I don't know what's happening anymore. But before you say no, wait till you finish the game.
No, I actually think that's actually really smart. I don't agree with them, but sometimes your tinfoil hat ideas for
just not tinfoil hat ideas. It's a subtext. That's all it is.
I'm joking. Yeah, no, like that actually matches really well, and they do reference it a lot more. I mean, the really obvious one is with Neil when he's like he puts on the bandana.
Yeah, he puts on the bandana.
And just has the same hair as Snake. Yeah, and I in the moment I was like, oh, you know what, I get it, Metal Gear was huge, but like, this is Death Stranding, do something new, you don't have to always be looking back. But now you actually, if that's actually like a proper theme and he's actually saying something about it rather than just doing an easy visual thing, that has actually made it a bit more interesting to me. And I'm gonna, with that in my head, I'm gonna look more closely for that now. Now you've said it.
I mean, the game is.
I mean, the game's about motherhood and you're looking after your baby, and so like in so many ways, so many of the characters, that's what it's about, either literally or in some way. And I wonder if any of that is relating to.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, losing a child and then being like, we're gonna have one last ride to help us move on from this, and then making Metal Gear Solid 6 is what he's basically done. Anyway, that's what I think. I think it's cool.
He's making a stealth espionage game with Sony.
You feel
like that would be the place to do it.
He cannot escape it. Okay, Evan Harryardi, no question here, but interesting comments. Said the idea of Death Stranding's gameplay of delivering packages comes from a rural Japanese profession called a bocker. Bocker are mountain porters, porter being someone who carries cargo, that can often carry boxes stacked 1 meter or more tall, weighing up to 150 kilograms, perfectly balanced on the backs of their body. The job of the bocker is extremely important, as they deliver essential supplies to Japan's rural villages that have no conventional road access. And then they said, the subtitle On the Beach comes from a novel of the same name by Neville Shute. The novel follows a group of people in Melbourne awaiting death from radiation following a nuclear war. So there we go. It's not about
I didn't
swimming.
know that.
It's not about
I never really
sandcastles.
liked that subtitle that much, but I guess if there's more meaning to it.
The beach thing is just still continues to be so ridiculous that they're all like, whose beach is he on? Is he on my beach? We're going to his beach. Like,
it's been in the background a little bit more than the first game. There's less beach talk than the beach. Weirdly, seeing as this is called On the Beach, the beach has seemed less prominent, at least so far for me in the story.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Mr. Sonic 2 on YouTube says, of all the updated tools from the last game, example zip lines with different directions or rainfall shelters with BT repellent, what was your favourite improvement? So for me, the launching, I don't know if you could do this in the first one, I don't think you could, but the cargo cannon, if you load it with something that's throwable, you can launch the throwable thing out of the... This is so hard to describe. It launches the cargo into a little rocket. If you put something throwable in it, like a stun grenade, you can launch a stun grenade from the rocket. So I ended up using that quite a lot, like basically raining down things on my opponents. And also, you can climb into the cargo cannon. I don't know if you used to be able to do that, but you can in this one. So you can launch yourself, which is pretty fun.
I've not got the cargo cannon. I wonder if you get that from a side mission I've not done.
Spoilers. Yeah. I had it before I used it for the weapons factory. So maybe you just missed it.
Something that I would kind of like, but there would be downsides to it, is I kind of wish when there was like selecting an order, I kind of just wish it told me what I'd get to know whether because sometimes...
Oh, it does. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the person
it does.
There's a bio for the person. You scroll down to the bottom, it tells you what you get. Yeah.
Oh, I need to look at that, because that's always the thing. I'm like, because sometimes it will be just a straight upgrade to something, or you get, a new outfit or something, and sometimes you get a cool tool that you could use a bunch, and so that's kind of annoying because it's going to be hard to go back and see. I think I might just miss out on the cargo cannon.
Also, actually, I said earlier there was no bugs. There is one known bug in the game, which is if you build a zipline with a curve in it, which you can do to like go around rocks and stuff. If that spawns in another person's world, it won't carry over the curve. So that's kind of a bit of a very slight downer on the improved tools, especially in the mountain area, because you'll just take zip lines and they'll just be red because it'll just be like straight through a cliff. Okay, last question, which actually isn't related to Death Stranding, but I thought was interesting. Green Mister on YouTube said, unrelated to the game, but I've been curious if there's a game that you've played for the podcast that you've wanted to go back to. Easy answer for me. I have since finished Disco Elysium again after we did it for the show. And I think it was kind of better the second time because I had all the knowledge of what I did the first time. Actually, it was my fiance that was playing it. So I was seeing someone else choose different options to me. So that that was really cool and well worth going back to. So, yeah.
So, for me, Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that in my life I'm going to complete multiple times. It's so perfect for that because I could play as a different class and make different decisions and have a different story. Like maybe the end of this year, maybe around Christmas time might be a nice time to do it because I want to have a bit of time that I've forgotten, some of the smaller details, but not too long that I've forgotten what decisions I made last time to make sure even just bringing different party members with me because they have all their own story. Like I didn't in my first playthrough, even though I did a lot, I didn't do it. Like I didn't do every companion's like full side mission. So having a different party team. So yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is a game. We've even discussed about maybe doing it co-op possibly.
Yeah,
see if that
I think
ever
we could. If we do it at Christmas, if you're not sick of me after Japan, after spending 10 days with me, then we could do a little one.
Well, maybe when they release it on the Switch too, we'll play it on the plane.
Yes. I've been thinking about that, I've been thinking we could
plane journey.
Because the flight's 14 hours. I was like, you can cut this because the flight's 14 hours. I was like, what game can we play that could we could do pass the pad for 14 hours?
I was going to say because the thing is you always have plane safe mode in the plane, so I was thinking we couldn't do full multiplayer.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think we're done for Death Stranding talk. Shall we go to the list?
Yep, let's put it on the list.
Did you know we have a Patreon? Maybe you're unsure what that is.
Patreon allows you to support us directly, and in return you get exclusive stuff. Access to our Discord server, behind-the-scenes content, and an exclusive podcast series.
Your support means we can up our production and continue making fun videos. You can join us at patreon.com/thebonuspoints. And it has a free trial too.
Woohoo! Okay, right then. So this is the 89th game that we're going to be adding to the list. For those listening to the audio version, Death Stranding 1 is at number 6 out of the 88 that are already on, in the top 10.
I thought it was at 3. Maybe we moved it for some reason?
Doom and Prey had a climb not that long ago, so I think that might have pushed everything down. I haven't been switching it. I haven't been switching it. When you're asleep.
I believe you. Maybe Death Stranding 1 should move up a bit before we do Death Stranding 2. Because I think Death Stranding 2 for me is definitely top 10. But because we are ranking them, I would put Death Stranding 1 0.1 above it. So
see,
I think 6 is kind of a good place for Death Stranding 2, to be honest. So it's a bit like
So obviously with everything that I'm going to say, I haven't finished Death Stranding 2. So that is a big asterisk. As I am now, I would have Death Stranding 1 above it. Okay. Because and part of that isn't even because I think it's better. It's because it was my first experience of that world, and so it it was a more emotional journey. It was like seeing that world and falling in love with. I had low expectations going into, or middling expectations going into the first one, and it blew them out the water. And I had high expectations going into Death Stranding 2. So I think psychologically, Death Stranding's more favorable there. But then I think the other thing is I had more interesting encounters. Like I enjoy games with friction in. I didn't want more. I like what they've done with the UI and that streamlining, but I like challenging games and overcoming challenge. And I haven't had that as much in Death Stranding 2. So for me, they're relatively close, but that is why at the moment Death Stranding 1 would be above 2 for me. The other thing is, 1,000 Times Resist has got to stay in the top 10 somehow.
somehow
we got to make that work.
Is Tears of the Kingdom the outlier here at this point? I feel like Tears of the Kingdom might be the outlier here. It's kind of the game that we never really go back to or discuss when we're talking about the top 10. It's always like, Disco Elysium, that has to be a top 10. Doom and Prey is a thing. Last of Us Part 1 and 2, of course. Actually, maybe Last of Us Part 1 and 2 also a little bit of an outlier.
Yeah, I was thinking for 1,000 Times Resist, maybe I can put 1,000 Times Resist above them. I think it goes back to the thing, once you have more of a gap with a game, you remember the emotional connection to the game more than how good the mechanics were. And so I think that's why for 1,000 Times Resist I have really high, and I think that's why Tears of the Kingdom goes low, because mechanically that game is a master. It's a unbelievable thing that they managed to create, and it's spectacular, but it just didn't have the same emotional connection that even Breath of the Wild had, and so it always feels like it should be there because of how incredible it is, but I mean it's in my heart. It's actually lower than some of the games that it's above.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's all we can rank it on, Joe. Your little heart, your little beta.
My little heart has only got so much love to spare, you see.
I think on Death Stranding 2 and Death Stranding 1, for me, they are the perfect amount of open world. And it's like the perfect balance of I'm not going to get overwhelmed. I can play around with the stuff without ever losing it. Without and dying, losing progress, etc., etc. Whereas I feel like Baldur's Gate 3 and Zelda are too open to the point where like I'm just getting lost here and I'm just not doing anything. I'm getting decision paralysis. Disco Elysium is another good example of it's like the perfect amount of open, because it's like you're always going to get the same kind of beats. It's just what choices you want to make during this beats. Whereas Baldur's Gate 3 is so open that it was so stressful trying to navigate, especially with someone else.
You need to have it's a game where you need to put yourself in a different mindset for it, because we normally think of games, it's like, oh, did you do all the side missions and stuff? It's like Baldur's Gate 3, if you do that, like, you can't really do that. Baldur's Gate 3, you have to be like, I'm going to role play. I'm going to pretend I'm a person in this world and do what that person would do. If you try and do it like if you try to play it like Skyrim, that's where it would probably get because like geography-wise, it's not that big compared to some of these other games. It's just so dense with things.
Dense, yeah.
Yeah, and so I understand why you would kind of get into that mode with it.
Yeah, so Death Stranding for me is the perfect. My preferred open world experience is something like Death Stranding. Very low risk. Good amount of options, but not too many.
Right, can we put 1,000 Times Resist above The Last of Us twins?
Yes,
would you be up for that?
I think that's fine. So I think The Last of Us, the top 10 is becoming another echelon of games now that maybe The Last of Us can't actually stand up to anymore, which is insane.
Which is crazy. A lot of people's favorite game of all time, and we both loved it. Right, and then I'm
going to move The Last of Us twins out now.
Okay,
because they're not going to survive.
So let's just put Death Stranding 2. Let's just put it one under Death Stranding 1 for now.
That is where I would want it to go. I think, despite how boring that choice might be, they're good together.
I think also if we start with Death Stranding 1 above, then when I've finished Death Stranding 2, then maybe we could have another discussion. Because you would want 2 above 1, right?
No. I want 1 above 2.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said the other way around. Okay.
No. I want 1 above 2. I also think maybe Tears of the Kingdom could... Maybe Death Stranding 1 and 2 should go above Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, let's put Tears of the Kingdom under Hollow Knight then. Because I would have... it puts 1,000 Times Resist right on the edge again.
Yeah, but we've still got 1 extra space to play with, so we can move everything up 1.
Oh yeah, because of course, The Last of Us Part 2 is going to be 10. Okay, so if you shuffle that round, then I'll read out how the top 10 is now, because I realize this must be almost unlistenable.
Last of Us Part 2. Is there anything, just while we've got The Last of Us games, the twins removed, is there anything that we would like to put in the top 10 that's... do you know what? I don't think there is.
I mean, I would put Pokemon there.
No, come on.
I know.
Funny enough, Kojima's favourite game, isn't it? Hideo Kojima's favourite game is Pokemon Gold.
Well, he knows what he's talking about, doesn't he?
and talking about.
That's a great... those Game Boy Pokemon games, they're a great open world for me in terms of the size and...
That's true. That is actually true. That is true. But it has the problem of you can lose a lot of progress very quickly in those games.
What do you mean?
When you're on the downwards roll of losing, and you've got 6 Pokemon that need to lose, it's like, God, this is so... I shouldn't have ever experimented because I've lost 15 minutes of my life to all of my Pokemon dying one by one.
Yeah, I mean, you can say whatever you want, but yeah, if they've all got burn and confused and stuff, that's a bit of a... And
you try and walk back and one of them's poisoned, it stops every 5 steps.
I like my friction though. I don't like fun.
Should we put?
I'm not looking for fun.
Should we put The Last of Us 1 back in the top 10?
So that's switching them round. So Last of Us 2 was above it.
Yeah, but which one do you think's better now?
I prefer 2, but I'm close,
Okay.
and I've had a lot of 2 and above. So if we want to switch them around for a bit, like I'm so it's actually weird for those games that like how I like them for different reasons. Like they're actually quite different. Like not hugely different mechanically, but in terms of the story, like they feel very different. And what I really like about the stories of each one is very different from the 2 of them.
Well, I think Death Stranding. I don't want to say. I don't want to spoil the ending for you for Death Stranding 2, but I have a similar. I'd definitely be there. But I mean, by the time we do the next podcast, just us two, I'm sure I'll have finished it by then. So right, let me read out how top 10 is here, and then I guess with me reading it out, we'll see how it sounds, see if we want to change it at all. So I go 1 to 10. So number 1, Baldur's Gate 3. Number 2, Disco Elysium. Number 3, the original Doom. Number 4, Prey from 2017. Number 5, now Death Stranding, moved up. New at number 6 is Death Stranding 2. Then at 7 is Hollow Knight. 8 is Tears of the Kingdom. 9 is 1,000 Times Resist. And at 10 is the original Last of Us. Yeah. I don't know about Zelda, you know.
You still think it's too high?
I just, I completed the first temple or whatever, and I never went back to it. And even now it's got 4K upgrade for free that I have. I still haven't gone back to it. I just can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered to deal with it. It seems to do much work. And I think that, the Switch 2 is out, and say what you want about the Switch 2 lineup. A lot of people say there's nothing to play. Tears of the Kingdom is there in 4K for free for most people who have a Switch 2. No one's talking about it or playing it.
It's a free upgrade if you already own the game.
Yeah, I know, but that's a perfect reason to go back to what is a top 10 game on this list, and neither of us have done it.
I mean, I think it's another game I'm probably going to replay at some point in my life. I mean, Breath of the Wild, definitely at least Breath of the Wild, but I think it just came out too soon. Like it's too big of a game to replay for me, at least that soon. I know there's some people that would, or just keep experimenting in it. It just feels like there's just not long enough of a gap for the better performance to be enough to justify another 80 hours in Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. Well, look, it's there now. I'm happy that Death Stranding 2 is in the top 10, so
yeah,
that's fine by me.
Once 1,000 Times Resist gets pushed down to 10, then I'll probably switch it to Tears of the Kingdom just to keep it in top 10.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about revisiting 1,000 Times Resist. Only the beginning, just because I want to see what it runs like on the Switch 2. I did actually...
Have they done an update or anything?
No, but raw horsepower should be enough to...
Yeah, but it'll probably still look pretty rough.
That's fine. It ran so badly.
Yeah.
I did actually play the opening couple of episodes of Death Stranding 1 before I played Death Stranding 2 as well. And it obviously still holds up and is still great. So yeah, that was a good little reminder. So yeah, I think we're there. Cool.
We'll turn big shifts in the top 10. Shifts. It's always exciting when the top 10 gets a poke in the podcast. It happens rarely, but it's fun when it does.
Yeah, big old moves. Okay, would you like to hear what is coming up?
Yeah, go for it.
So on the 5th of September, we are playing Alba, a wildlife adventure with Andy Robertson, who was on the podcast before to talk about accessibility in games, and Ludoscene, which is an app that he's developing. So he'll be coming back on and talking about that, I'm sure. Then on the 3rd of October, publicly announced for the first time, I think, other than the picture that I sent out, Hitman World of Assassination. So that's the Hitman all combined, all the new trilogy combined. And then on the 31st of October, with a guest, we're doing Enter the Gungeon. And a little note on that, because obviously this is way in the future, but me and Joe are actually going to be in Japan during the normal recording date of that. So I think what I'm going to do is when I send out for comments, I'm going to send out for Hitman and Enter the Gungeon at the same time in one post and just say which game you're talking about, because we're going to have to pre-record Enter the Gungeon beforehand. But yeah, going to Japan, pretty cool, pretty exciting, good times. And then apart from that, in between all of those, so 22nd of August, 19th of September, 17th of October, we have Extra Credit, which is our Patreon exclusive podcast. And I think until maybe the middle of September, every Monday we have Ober Dimwits is still going, and still getting views. People love it. I'm editing it and I'm like, this is so hard to follow, but it's still getting views. So.
Ollie, this is the first Bonus Points podcast I listened to. What is Ober Dimwits?
Ober Dimwits is me and Joe playing through Ober Din, which was a game by the creator of Papers, Please. And we are basically, well, we're dimwits, right? It's taken us a long time to get through the game. The Ober Din is like a puzzle mystery game, first person game, super cool graphic style. And we basically did a let's play of the entire thing, which is coming out every Monday. So yeah,
that sounds great. I definitely watch that. That sounds amazing.
You should. All right, I think that's everything from Bonus Points.
Cool, awesome. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you're watching the YouTube version, leave your comments down below. What do you think of the game? Be wary of spoilers. We always love to hear your feedback. But apart from that, thank you all so much for watching or listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.